piece I want to touch on. I know I mentioned I got nominated for NCAA Woman of the Year. And so they had a big convention where you go, they honor you, they name their Woman of the Year. And so I went to this convention. It was in January. It was in San Antonio.
So Riley Gaines was invited to speak at San Francisco University because she's out pushing her cause to keep men out of women's sports. And you saw her at that podium, and in the background you could hear all the commotion, all the yelling, all the screaming. That's because all the activists were in the classroom and in the hallway basically trying to intimidate her to keep her quiet. She looked scared at the podium, but it only got worse when she went out into the hallway, and the police did basically nothing but usher her down the hall into a corner and into a room to protect her. And they let the trans activists, the violent ones, the left-wing Democrats, just continue to do what it is they do.
And so I go to the convention, obviously not in support because the award was immediately meaningless.
So yeah, those were the peaceful, fun-loving alphabet people screaming and yelling, trans women are women too, okay, whatever. Number one, Riley Gaines wasn't there to put down the alphabet community. She was there for a reason, because these colleges are letting biological men compete against biological women in sports, and it's wrong and it shouldn't happen. But you can't tell that to this movement, because if you don't go along with them and agree with them, then we're wrong. How dare we not put men in women's sports or boys in girls' sports? They are violent. They live for protesting, and the left-wing Democrats allow it, condone it, and talk about it as much as they can. But that's not the only thing about that day. I'm going to show you one more quick clip, and you're going to hear what the people are saying, because they all should have been arrested for saying what they said. But of course, the police, being San Francisco University police, are woke just like the school, and they did absolutely nothing but let them continue to do it and then go about their way.
Make her lose her flight.
And move forward. Okay? Tell her to pay us. Tell her to pay us, and then she could go. $10 each. Because she might get paid for this shit, so we could get paid for it too.
On a public campus that we attend.
So what's the end goal here? We're cooperating, so what's next?
Yeah, so again, those are the peace-loving alphabet people. Make her lose her fight, which, yeah, you're going to make her lose her fight. She's never going to stop fighting for this because she believes in it. And you hear the other one, let her pay us, and then we'll let her go. Now, isn't that asking for ransom? Isn't that kidnapping someone? To me, it sounds like it is, because they forced the police to take her into another room for her protection because she was assaulted by a man dressed as a woman. We don't see that on the video, but it happened. It's been all over the media. Well, maybe not the mainstream liberal media, but it did happen, okay? But they want money, and one of them joked $10 a piece. I don't care if it's 5 cents a piece. You basically are holding this person captive. The police are not removing these violent protesters, and this woman is scared for her life. And they're asking for money. They want the police to do their job. What do they want the police to do? Remove her from doing what she had every right to be there doing because she was invited there? The schools have no control of these groups. These groups run these woke institutions, and especially in San Francisco. But one professor had something to say about the protest, and quite frankly, I believe she should be terminated immediately. So I just want to bring up this quick clip to show you exactly what the Vice President of Student Affairs wrote. Her name is Jamila Moore, and she wrote that she's proud of the students who participated peacefully and made it clear that the trans community is welcome at that school, when Riley wasn't saying the trans community wasn't welcome at the school. What she was saying was men should not be competing against women in women's sports. And then Riley responded back, "I'm sorry, did you just say peaceful? I was assaulted, I was extorted, and held for ransom." That's what these woke professors think is okay. The violence of this transgender movement is getting way out of control. And because you don't go along with it, they're going to do whatever it takes until you go along with it. Well, I got news for you. I'm not going to go along with it. Just do what you want to do and leave the rest of us alone. So Jamila is proud of the alphabet people for protesting and participating peacefully. It's not a peaceful protest if authorities have to get involved and take someone away to protect their well-being. Again, after she was assaulted, being escorted through the crowd, the person that assaulted her was not arrested. The people calling for ransom, if you will, not arrested. This professor, there will be no repercussions because, again, it's San Francisco, and this is what they live for. They live for the alphabet people. They condone their violence against anyone who doesn't go along with them, and the authorities just let it happen. And we all know I am 100% behind the police, but those police officers did zero. They pushed Riley down a hall, put her in a room, and just stood there while the alphabet crew went off and off and off and did not let that girl leave that building for probably almost 3 hours. That, again, should be a kidnapping charge, should be a ransom charge to let her go. Let her pay us and we'll let her leave. This is what these colleges are doing today. The woke universities and colleges in this state who let these activist students run their campuses. The professors don't run it. The deans and the principals and superintendents or whatever they want to call themselves, they don't run it. Law enforcement doesn't do anything but let them protest because, after all, if they do something, they'll probably lose their job, but they should do something because they took an oath to protect life and property. And they let those people attack her and keep her held in a room for almost 3 hours. What are we doing here? This is the universities and colleges of today. Okay? Anybody who goes to these schools has to have consequences for their actions. They're not there to learn. They're there to, they're there to learn, but they're there to learn how to be activists and protest about everything that's good in this country. They're there to force us to let children change their gender. They're there to force us to agree with what they're doing and shove it down our throat. They're there to back any group who's against rules and regulations, which, what good are these schools? These kids aren't learning anything. They're learning how to be left-wing activists from when they're young like that. And what's going to happen? They're going to continue to get older, and the older they get, the more involved and the worse they're going to get. This is an absolute disgrace. And I did see that Riley Gaines has filed a lawsuit against the University of San Francisco, against that dean, against those protesters, which will probably go nowhere. But the fact is that she did it, and she should have did it because her life was in danger. She was assaulted and held in a room because she couldn't leave, and they did nothing. They let them have their little hissy fits, yell and scream and punch and kick and demand this and that, and then let them all go home and hold their teddy bears and go to bed. And they did nothing to these people but hey, come again next time we have a speaker and you could do it all over again. This is what's happening. This is the United States of America in 2023, and that old fool in the White House is 100% behind it, and it needs to stop. And that's it. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. You'll never miss an episode. Share this video with someone. I'd appreciate that. Hope everybody's healthy and safe. Have a great night.